Om Shri Venkatesaya Namaha. Welcome to Professor SVSS Narayan Raju YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss an inspiring teacher, prolific writer and translator, Professor S.A. Suryanarayan Varma. Non-Hindi speaking Hindi writers inspired by national ideas have shown interest in studying the Hindi language and literature and have contributed substantially to its prosperity. Born in South India, staying away from the natural environment of Hindi, having little exposure or no to Hindi environment. The contribution of Hindi writers of the South who are engrossed in the exclusive practice of Hindi literature creation is particularly noteworthy. In the field of original writing, translation, review, and Hindi journalism, the writers of Andhra Pradesh have done a commendable work for the growth of the Hindi language and literature through their works. Among them, Professor S.A. Suryanarayan Varma has to be noted with extraordinary respect. His personality was unique due to the excellent coordination of action, sensation, responsibility, and discipline. The courage to make dreams come true in the penance of struggle consciousness is reflected in his individuality. He honestly understood his duties and responsibilities in research and translation and performed them faithfully. Professor Varma's research topic was in Chayavadi एवं भाववादी कविता में प्रकृति चित्रण, Chayavadi and Bhavavadi poetry and nature depiction. From 1979 to 1982, he worked as a Hindi professor at Maharaja Kalasala, Vijayanagaram. From 1983 to 1988, he did research work as a research associate in the University Grants Commission in the Department of Hindi, Andhra University. His works on Dvivedi era essay literature and romantic poetry of Hindi and Telugu were published during this time. In 1993, he got promotion as a research scientist C, professor. Since then, he has been teaching, doing research, guiding research scholars, conducting research projects in the Department of Hindi, Andhra University. As a professor, doing translation work from Telugu to Hindi, English to Hindi, Hindi to English, vice versa. Promotion of Hindi as the official language, Hindi magazine editing. He has been addressing the nation with his achievements by taking an active part in national and international conferences. International programs like paper presentations in conferences, promotion of Hindi in the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, etc. He has successfully conducted a mega research project of the University Grants Commission from 1988 to 2000, titled A Comparative Study of Modern Poetry in Hindi and Telugu, with particular reference to national unity, secularism, and Indianness. The Professor Varma published critical works, translations of representative works, role writing, and writings of many books. He has a long sequence of achievements full of his merits and accolades. Even if I make all the ocean waters as ink, I cannot describe Professor Varma's qualities. 15 review books and 5 translated texts of Professor Varma have been published. To name it, Age Consciousness in Chayavadi Poetry, Modern Ideology in Dwivedi Era Essay Literature, Modern Poetry, Contemporary of Mythology, Nationality in Modern Poetry of Hindi and Telugu, Objective Practice of Post-Independence Hindi Poetry, Social Revolution in Post-60s Hindi and Telugu Poetry, Motivational Sentences, Modern Telugu Drama, Western Theatre Philosophy, Modern Hindi Literature, Reflection and Evaluation, Modern Telugu Literature, Various Perspectives, Kavita Kusumalu, Advaitavada, a Persuasion, Sitayan, History of the Telugu Language, When I Saw Tirupati Balaji, Maine Tirupati Balaji Ko Dekha, Sri Satya Sai Satsamvad, Use of Maps in Daily Life, Learning Hindi books by Professor Varma. These all books are proofs of his scholarship and relentless practice. Nearly 250 articles have been published in various journals. Professor Varma's creativity is a reflection of his personality. The personality of Professor Varma is embellished with the versatility. He has a beautiful combination of learning, talent, meditation, goal-orientedness, and creation. I had read all books of Professor Varma with a great diligence. In critical writings, they naturally analyze facts with very honesty, staying free from bias due to equal authority over Hindi, Telugu, and English languages. His work has proved vital in the comparative study. A dissertation titled Nature Portrayal has been published in Chayavadi Poetry and Bhavavadi Kavita, describing nature in the form of support, stimulation, humanization, etc. And the skill of the romantic poets of Telugu has been depicted. A successful attempt to highlight the features of the poems in question has been reflected in the book titled Chayavadi Yavam Bhavavadi Kavya Mein Prakriti Chitran. Chayavadi and Bhavavadi poetry and nature depiction. This book expresses from the point of view an era consciousness. While expressing his reaction to the economic, social, political, and cultural environment of the era, the ideas expressed by the Dwivedi era essayists, along with their relevance in terms of essay writing, the achievements of the essayists of this era have been described as Dwivedi era essay literature. Dwivedi Yugin Nibandho में आधुनिक विचारधारा. In the book titled Modern Ideology has been evaluated. In the book titled Nationality in Hindi and Telugu Poetry, Professor Varma expressed love for culture and patriotism, reverence for the progressive heritage, expression of dissident life values, expression of strong desire for national awakening, sacrifice, and devotion to leaders. Comparative study of modern poetry in Hindi and Telugu has been presented under the headings of prize in the book titled Independent Hindi Poetry Vastugat Parishilan. Reviewer Professor Varma, while clarifying the nature of object consciousness of the poetry of this era, presented a comprehensive analysis of Hindi poetry of this period from the point of view of the expression of various aspects of thought, philosophy, and culture has done. In the book titled Social Revolution in Post-60s Hindi and Telugu Poetry, Professor Varma has presented Hindi and Telugu poetry of this era under several titles like social consciousness, support of the political rebellion, opposition to the caste system, and communalism, support of women's freedom, etc. A comparative analysis is present in the book titled Modern Poetry, Relevance of Puranas. Professor Varma has presented a comprehensive analysis of the era's problems discussed in modern poetry and composed on a mythological story. The achievements of post-independence Hindi dramas have been evaluated in the book titled Post-Independent Hindi Natak Objective Studies. From Objective Diversity and Thought, the book titled Post-60s Telugu Drama and Theatre, Western Influence and Experiments, given a comprehensive introduction to Telugu dramas of the 7th, 8th and 9th decades. Drama, existential drama, three-dimensional drama, pantomime drama, ambient drama, circular drama, still acting drama, in the form of Chaya Natak, noiseless scenery, psychoanalytical drama, etc. An attempt has been made to show the Western influence on Telugu plays composed during this era. The essays of Professor Varma have been published by Aman Publications, Kanpur, in the form of Hindi literature, reflection and evolution, and Telugu literature, miscellaneous scenario, etc. Besides the essay writing of Professor Varma lies his deep concern towards questions related to literature, culture, and history. High reflectiveness is the result of extensive experience and deep study. His achievements in review writing and role writing have also been distinguished. A translator can become a good translator through his ability. Translator can become a good translator through his ability, knowledge, and practice. In the title article, Professor Varma has clarified the speciality of translation art. As a translator, his mind is imbued with art qualities and he has full authority over the native language and the target language. Former Prime Minister of India, Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao's Additional Secretary and Senior Indian Administrative Service Officer, Rashtra Ratna, Shri P.V.R.K. Prasad's tenure as Executive Officer of Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams published his and others' experience in the Swati Weekly Telugu magazine titled Sarva Sambhavam Naham Karta Ariham Karta. Subsequently, this work was published in the form of a book with the title Sarva Sambhavam. Telugu readers have welcomed this work. Professor Suryanarayan Varma translated this into Hindi with the title When I Saw Tirupati Balaji. Maine Tirupati Balaji ko dekha. In this composition, the creator's experience with supernatural experience are described in 30 chapters, indirectly describing Sri Balaji's glories and giving the readers phenomenal pleasure. Gyan Publishing House, New Delhi, has published this translated work. This book contains how devotees were stunned by the experience in the pastimes of Balaji, Sri Venkateshwara Swami, revered as a Kali Yuga deity in Tirumala in many beautiful events. The author also has given details of some such important events of his life, which provides clear evidence of the divine power that make the impossible possible and the strengthness of the faith of the devotees towards the universal soul. So, this work has been written in spoken language. The author credits his success to Paramatma Srinivasa in ending the yajna, concertaining the Dvajastamba, and implementing the Dasa Sahitya project and Anamacharya project. Feelings have been expressed on the surface of emotion in these chapters. While translating these chapters, priority has been given to using language as a supporting element in the sharpest expression of emotion. This book got 1 lakh rupees cash prize from Central Hindi Directorate, Ministry of Education, Government of India for the best translation work of Professor Varma sir. Sitayan is a well-known translated work by Professor Varma. Professor Varma said he adopted it in Hindi because Sita does not appear to be an ordinary woman but as a goddess. While completing the translation of the book, he realized that to put women in the category of Dol Gawar Shudra Pasunari Tasakal Tadan Ke Adhikari. Dol, cowherd, Shudra, and animal is an insult to her. It was originally written by Sri Veluvolu Basavapunnaya. Sri Veluvolu Basavapunnaya has made a special place in the present Telugu literary world by elucidating human kindness, social commitment, and value vision through his works. Sitayanam is the latest Telugu apology in which Basavupunnaya reviews the punishments given by Dasharatha's son Shri Ram to his righteous wife on the backdrop of Rashtra Dharma and human Dharma. Professor Varma has presented this work in Hindi version as a Sitayan. Aman Prakashan Kanpur published it. Many dimensions of Sita's character have been revealed in this composition, like the daughter of Maharaja Janak, Bhusuta, Ayonija, the daughter-in-law of Dasharatha, and finally as Sita, the wife of Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram. In this novel, keeping the originality of the Ramakatha episodes intact, Basavupunnaya gave new dimensions to the characters' development. It contained a plurality of Sanskrit words, a detailed description of nature's beauty in many contexts, a detailed description of the beauty of the city of Lanka, a nail-biting description of woman's beauty, an attempt to make story episodes poignant through lengthy statements, woman existence, and its use of long dialogues in the context of raising many questions related to freedom, giving priority to the intensity of emotions on the occasion of expression of anguish, attempts to put a lengthy background on the part of the author in the war narrations, Indian culture and religion. This novel has become a very popular due to its fantastic ability to mark various characters, attitudes, actions, and reactions in the backdrop of beliefs. Praising the story of Sita in the context of presenting in the Hindi version of the episodes planned by the original author in marking the new aspects of her character. Professor Varma translated the original text and sensation as accurately as possible. He made it more communicative to next. Acharya Velamala Simana of the Telugu Department of Andhra University published the Telugu Bhasha Charitra Granth, History of Telugu Language, as a title book, contains 584 pages by Professor Varma, translated into Hindi. Andhra Pradesh Hindi Academy, Hyderabad published it. It is presented in 32 chapters. The history of Telugu language has been explained in simple style in this work. This book describes the Indo-European language family in the chapter titled Indian Languages, giving the introduction of different Indian languages, their classification, introducing the ancient scripts, the general features of the Telugu script, and the achievements of the historians' studies of the Telugu language are highlighted. Translating this critical book into Hindi, Professor Suryanarayan Varma has made a commendable effort to make Hindi readers aware of the rich history of the Telugu language. Professor Varma translated the book titled Prakrutito Meeku Matladalani Unda, published by SSSVRM Raju. Mr. Raju was a famous advocate, social activist, and celebrated writer of Vijayanagaram. In Hindi, the book was named as a Prakruti Se Samvad, a dialogue with nature. This book discusses about environmental consciousness with humanity. Professor Varma has been entirely associated with the review, essay, translation, editing, etc. Along with this, he constantly tried to bring Hindi and South Indian languages and their literature closer. Due to his work, he has become respectable in all Hindi and non-Hindi forums. Even though he faced many obstacles, difficulties, and problems in life, which an ordinary person may turn away from challenges. But Professor S.A. Suryanarayan Varma rose to the challenges and revealed his separate existence by not being a part of the crowd. Despite 70 to 80% disability, Professor Varma has shown his activism and ability in literature creation, translation, teaching, and research. Under his supervision, 52 scholars got PhD degrees and 15 scholars got MPhil. It was a great fortune that I have got the opportunity to do PhD degree research under the guidance of my beloved teacher, Professor S.A. Suryanarayan Varma. As a Vice President of Visakhapatnam Hindi Parishad and editor of Visakhapatnam Bharati, Professor Varma propagated Hindi widely and encouraged many young talents. He participated in many national and international seminars. As a member of Hindi Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Planning and Program Implementation and the Ministry of Defense, Government of India, Professor Varma has played an active role in promoting the use of Hindi as the official language. As a member of the advisory committees, his sincere effort to make Hindi meaningful and prove it as an official language constantly inspires others. His achievements in comparative studies and research are of national importance. Through his literary practice, he has succeeded in making the cultural dialogue between the North and South India. Professor Varma said, "My life is for others. I will complete the work God has entrusted to me until my last breath, considering it is a blessing." Again, I want to say once again, Professor Varma said, "My life is for others. I will complete the work God has entrusted to me until my last breath, considering it a blessing." Keep in view his achievements in teaching, research supervision, translation, and editing. Professor S.A. Suryanarayan Varma, honored with Gangasaran Singh Award by Kendriya Hindi Samsthan, Ministry of Education, Government of India for the year 2010. Under this award, rupees 1 lakh cash, Angavastra and citation is given to Professor Varma as a mark of respect. Professor Varma has got all these achievements is not by an accident. His long-term, unmoving spiritual practice is in the background of his accomplishment and fame. Last month, I think 29th January 22, he passed away physically from this world. But through his works, he will be living forever, forever, forever until the literature exists. Thank you. Jai Shrimanara.